Welcome back to Chapter 8X of my Fire Emblem 6 PMU run. This is our first guidance chapter, which means it's an additional bonus chapter that you can only get to if you fulfill certain requirements. The requirement for getting to this chapter in particular was to keep Lilina alive at the end of the last chapter we played, which obviously we were going to do because we were going to recruit her and use her throughout the rest of the run, so it wasn't very difficult to unlock this. In this game in particular, these specific guidance chapters reward you with legendary weapons that were used in FE7, and you need to collect every single one of them in order to unlock the true ending to the game. If you don't get every single legendary weapon, which means if you don't go to every single guidance chapter, you get stuck with an alternate ending to the game, which we're not aiming for. It's actually the ending I got stuck with the first time I played the game, because I missed out on one legendary weapon. I think it was the Armads that I missed out on, just because I didn't know that there was a turn limit requirement on a certain map that we haven't played yet, and it got locked out of my reach. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I couldn't get it. You know what I mean. As for this map though, it's a nice change of pace. The last few maps have been fairly difficult, or at the very least pretty long and tedious, but this map is relatively short and relatively easy for a few reasons. The biggest reason is that there's no reinforcements, no reinforcements whatsoever. Doesn't matter how long you take, doesn't matter if you cross any certain thresholds on the map, no reinforcements. What you see is what you get. I think for like the first time in the entire run apart from chapter 1 or something like that. So that was really nice to play through a chapter without having to worry about reinforcements. In addition, the enemies here are fairly weak. They're not super easy. They're about what you'd expect, fairly standard enemies. But what makes them even easier than typical enemies is that some of them don't move. Now, of course, you're not going to know which ones don't move if you haven't looked it up, if this is your first time playing the map. But what it means is, if you make a mistake, there's a pretty good chance that you won't be punished for it, because the person who you were in range of just is not going to move after you. So you see that fighter there had a halberd. I was a bit worried about him at the start of the run, but honestly effective weapons in this game, particularly the axes, are kind of a joke. You see that he would do a lot of damage to Lance, but he had like a 15% hit rate, so I felt pretty confident taking that engagement down. Now, because the enemies in this map are somewhat weak, if you're playing a standard run of FE6, this is probably the chapter to ditch Marcus for a while and just bring some of your weaker units, try to feed them some experience and make them better. But of course, we only have a few units that we're going to be using, so I just have to bring them all and use them all, really. I decided to send my longer range units to the left here just to get rid of these initial enemies, because I can't really do anything to the left there. It wouldn't be worth sending all my units down to the left. So I just sent my high mobility guys who can run back quickly. I didn't really need to rescue Sue, I suppose. She can keep up on her own horse, but I figured why not. And the rest of my party will make their way up these corridors. This game is a fan of long corridors, I've found. Seems to be a staple of their map design. There's obviously quicker ways to complete the map if you have a flyer. So if you have Shanna in your party, you can just rescue drop a strong unit who can kill the boss and Roy over a gap in the lava to the left. But of course we can't use Shanna or any flyer for that matter, except Milady, who we don't have yet. So we can't do that strat. We have to go the standard intended route all the way around, just like last chapter where it was just a long spirally corridor. Here Roy is starting to become pretty decent. He got that kill in one round. Well done, Roy. And then we see Wolt here. That wouldn't even be a 3 round. That wouldn't be a 3 hit KO, but he's gonna crit, so you know, it doesn't matter. Making me eat my words. Doesn't make you useful, Wolt. Makes you lucky. There's a difference. So here is the lack of movement coming into play. I'm looking at the ranges on those mercenaries and such, and choosing not to put Ward in range because I don't think he could take a tome and 2 swords. But some of them don't move. I don't remember exactly which ones they are, but definitely some of them don't move. I decided to carry these 2 for a turn longer just because they're still fairly far behind, and Lilina probably won't accomplish anything if I drop her off here. So this hand axe guy moves, but no one else does from that entire group. Of course, there's no way for me to know this. It's not obvious, and that's still something I don't like as part of FE6 design. They really don't make it obvious when movement and stuff happens. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's only a good thing for us. What isn't a good thing is Ward missing his hits, but I kind of expect that, so... And considering the rest of the enemies up there don't move, it doesn't matter that much. Here, Wolt's gonna get another crit. 2 crits in a row, actually. Calculate the chance of that happening, because I've got no fucking clue. Pretty intense. Well done, Wolt. But that's the only way you're gonna be useful, is if you keep getting crits like that. Level up for Saul. Level 17, he's close to getting to cap. But as I discussed in the last video, I'm not going to promote him until I get a second guiding ring. As of right now I have 0. Although we'll be getting one soon. Actually, I think I may have a guiding ring. I'm not entirely sure. I think I got one last chapter actually, didn't I? I don't remember. So you see there's pillars of fire that are coming out of the ground. You can see the specially coloured tiles in the ground that mark where those pillars come out of. They are supposed to be the gimmick of the chapter. They're supposed to be the thing you watch out for. Lower up from Wolt here. Still no strength. 12 speed is nice, still no strength. Well done, Wolt. Anyway, as I was saying, you can see where the fire is going to come out of, or rather where it can come out of in the ground. It's supposed to be the gimmick, as in it's supposed to be something you have to look out for and something that you strategize around, but it's so just pathetically bad that you really don't have to concern yourself with it. It's random where it shows up, first of all. It doesn't have any sort of like proclivities for showing up near your units or anything like that. It just randomly shows up across the map, and it only does 10 damage, which is completely, you know, you don't have to worry about 10 damage. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. So I'm not even sure why they included it. It just makes the map longer, honestly. Every end of enemy phase, it's just going to come and waste time by popping up in squares that no one's sitting in. Although it does get us a few times this run, it doesn't endanger anybody, so it may as well not have, really. I did kill that last enemy with 2 uses of the light brand. In hindsight, I probably didn't need to do that. Probably a bit of a waste of the light brand. But I don't know, I was feeling like playing quickly this chapter, or as quickly as you can with the units I have. And I just wanted to kill that guy. We're going to waste 2 more uses of it here. It's honestly not that good of a weapon. It's nice that it's got 2 range, yeah. And that is useful, definitely, but because of FE6's coding being jank, it only does 10 damage, which you can say is a good thing or a bad thing. It will always do 10 damage, so even if you didn't have any strength or any magic or whatever it is that it uses to calculate damage, it would still do 10, but even if you have way more, like my Rutger does, it only does 10. So I guess it's nice for chipping bosses that don't have 2 range options. But other than that, it's really not that fantastic of a weapon. And his damage output, Rutger's damage output that is, will be way higher with any other sword. Here I'm just sending Marcus ahead. He doesn't want around these guys, so I figured he can just soften them up for me. And we'll get another kill with Lilina here. Lilina's coming along really nicely. Magic, speed, luck. I think she's got magic and speed in every single level up so far, which is really fantastic. I think I said last chapter that my first Lilina was quite slow. She got a few points of speed, but not too many. But this Lilina seems to be going fast, which is nice. The one thing I did struggle with this entire map was trying to keep my units up to the front lines, being able to actually use them. I'm sending Marcus and Lance ahead a lot, but that means that my units like boars just can't keep up. There's no damage they can do, they're just so far behind. And that's the downfall of Armor Knights in general, but it's happening to my other units as well, that I don't feel like having be on the front lines. Rutger's up there for now, like he's keeping up fine, but Roy's falling behind, Water's gonna start to fall behind, Wolt is gonna fall behind. There's just not a whole lot they can do with their slow speed. Ground speed, that is. Well done, Lance. Speaking of Lance, again, as I mentioned in the last chapter, there'll be some promotions at the end of this chapter, which I will talk about when that happens. On the topic of promotions, I typically promote at roughly level 15 in the Game Boy games. I know it's different for each Fire Emblem game, some games it's easier to cap than others. But in the Game Boy games, I don't really see a point in getting all the way to level 20 in unpromoted classes. I just don't think it's really necessary. Your stats are probably already good enough by the time you're level 15, especially after promotion bonuses, to keep up for the rest of the game. And by the time you're level 15, your XP starts to slow down anyway to roughly the point of like a promoted unit. I just don't see any point in keeping units unpromoted for so long. I don't care about capping. Although the units I promote at the end of this chapter are actually fairly close to level 20, closer than I would typically have them be. Don't ask me why I set up that kill for Lance there. I guess it's because he's going to be fighting these fighters instead of Sue, and Sue's going to get rescued away, and I wanted him to conserve health, but I really don't think those fighters could have killed him anyway. I guess it's just being safe and not sorry. But still, that was a bit of a poor play right there. So you see here just how badly my units are struggling to keep up. Boars is all the way behind. I don't think he's even done anything this entire map, and he's probably not going to either. Such is life. So you see there, absolutely pathetic damage from that fire. Wow, Lance was in so much danger that turn. Incredible. Here I decide to attack at one range just because it's a guaranteed kill, and I want Lilina to be as close to the front lines as possible. Her insane experience growth is starting to slow down a little bit. She's still getting a lot per kill, but you saw in the first few levels of hers that her experience bar just shot up after every kill. Now it's starting to slow down a little bit, but it's still worth it to feed her that experience. She needs to hit level 10 as soon as possible, so in worst case scenarios I can have a healer on standby. Although as with every other unit, I would rather have her reach roughly level 15 before I promote her. If there is any chapter that requires me to leave Saul behind, and I don't have any other healer, I will promote her. I'm leaving Marcus in range here. That guy I just highlighted has a killer weapon, I believe, and there's a mage as well that I'm a little bit scared of. But as you'll see, as I've already said before, some of them just don't move. Again, appreciated, makes it easier for the player, but could you warn us maybe a little bit? Some sort of conversation before the map starts that, hey, enemies here are like reserved and don't really want to fight. I don't know. Just something to indicate that these guys don't move. You see here, I tried to bait them, but none of them are moving. That archer down there in particular gets his shit kicked in because he just doesn't move. You can just walk right up to him and smack him and it does nothing. Here I'm just checking how much damage Marcus would take from a crit and a mage. It's honestly a bit of a precarious situation if you don't factor in the fact that none of them move. But at the time I wasn't aware of that. So Sue can't really do much against this guy. I wanted to weaken him a bit before I sent Marcus in, and I opt to try to get a crit, because I do want to do that damage. 31% chance, I'm rewarded, he's at 1 health, well done. Sometimes I feel like I've been really lucky on this run, I don't know. I probably have been. Another crit there from Marcus. Unnecessary, but thanks for that. And to make up for my good luck earlier, Lance is just going to miss. Lance is just going to miss his hit there. And at this point I was panicking quite a lot. I was thinking, oh no, that guy's going to go for Sue, and Sue's going to get crit and die. And I thought I'd have to restart. Even though it hasn't been that long, I still didn't want to. But no. That's not actually what happens. Spoiler alert. Oh, poor Boar is all the way here at the back here. I don't think he's done a single thing this whole time. So yeah, this guy's just gonna vulnerary. This guy is an absolute A-grade Dumbo. He could have gotten a free kill on Sue right there, but it's quite possible that his AI doesn't allow him to move, and he thought something like, oh, if I attack here, I'll probably die. But if he went after Sue there, after that fire, she could very easily have been killed. Just to get another kill with Lilina here. And finally this turn, this guy's gonna die. Again, I weaken him with the bow. I almost don't trust Lance to do this, but he does it. He gets the kill. And this archer is toast. Thanks for not moving at all, you pathetic unit. So that's the bulk of the enemies done on this map, really. There's just a few left surrounding the boss, and after that, the boss himself. The boss himself in this chapter is really the most difficult part. Because of course he gets the thrown bonuses, which as we know in FE6 are ridiculously good. But in addition, he's actually a solidly built boss. He's got really decent stats on him. He's got two range weapons, that is. He's fast and he does a lot of damage. And he's very hard to hit. Honestly, the hardest part of the map. If you're playing a regular run of FE6, and just using the best units or whatever units you want to use, I can recommend just bringing weak units to get experience, but make sure that you have at least one unit that can take care of the boss, because he's honestly pretty scary. Well, not scary, but just hard to kill. A little bit of moving up here, as I do with all my units all the time. It's just a habit, I swear. I know most of these guys aren't going to actually engage in combat, but... Here I'm trying to figure out who I can use to bait this mage down. Guess what? The mage doesn't move. So all this time I'm spending here thinking, oh, who can take a hit from the mage? Can Lilina do it? Will Lilina get doubled? Will she die? Oh no, she'll be fine. I'll leave her right here. I'll bait him in, do some damage with her, and then get the kill with someone else. It'll be great. Nah, he doesn't move. Stationary enemies. I really wish there was some indication as to which enemies don't move and which do. I spent all that time setting up, and guess what? He doesn't move, and now we get to watch the flame pillars come out again. No one's even on a flame pillar. There's no one left. Literally no one could be hurt by that. Please stop. At the end of the day, it was probably a good thing this mage didn't come down. Lilina doesn't really do any damage to him anyway. But she can at least do a little bit of damage. get some chip damage in, which will let her get the kill after Marcus does some damage. And finally, there are only 2 enemies left. Nice speed level up from Lilina. You hear the victory music going, but obviously from the map timer, the map isn't over. The boss does take a while to defeat. Although these fighters are pretty easy. Here they come for Marcus. Bad choice. Marcus is gonna show that guy his boss. Same with the other one. Easy kill for Lilina there. And after this kill, I'm just gonna speed the rest of the boss fight up. Nice crit there. Alright. So I'm gonna stop here. There's not much left to say about this boss. I'll just talk about the promotions at the very end. So he's finally dead. Nice little crit there to finish it off. And now we're going to get our promotion. So I decided to promote Lance and Rutger. Lance is self-explanatory, he's nearing cap and he's one of our most useful units. And he has some baller stats after this promotion. And the second one is Rutger. I decided to do him over Ward because I figured it's better to have a really good unit instead of a unit who's just now barely keeping up after his promotion. So we'll get to see more action from them later, and obviously Wolt will be promoted soon. But as for right now, that's the end of the chapter. Thanks for watching and I'll see you later.